after Mendeecees returned with Erica, Yandy exploded in a fit of rage. Audiences have been enthralled for a considerable amount of time by the turbulent trip that Yandy Smith Harris and Mendeecees Harris have been on. Love and Hip Hop, New York is a popular reality show that has recorded their relationship, which has been filled with highs and lows, difficulties and victories. Despite the fact that the public witnessed the progression of their love story, the most recent events that have occurred in relation to their marriage have taken an unexpected turn, which has caused Yandy to experience an emotional collapse. Within the scope of this article, we will investigate the circumstances that led to Yandy's emotional reaction, as well as the manner in which this incident represents a key turning point in her life. As we continue to investigate Yandy's journey, we will analyze her emotional response to Mendeecees' apparent reunification with Erica, who was his ex-girlfriend until recently. We are going to investigate the events that led up to this betrayal, and what it means for their future together as a relationship. The timeline of these relationships, a thrilling ride through the emotions. It is essential to first examine Yandy's relationship with Mendeecees in order to comprehend the magnitude of the emotional breakdown that she experienced. The way they have been together has been anything but typical. When Mendeecees first appeared on the scene, he was a difficult figure with a troubled history that included legal issues that had the potential to put any romantic engagement in jeopardy. Regardless of this, Yandy remained by his side through thick and thin, providing support for him throughout his incarceration, the ups and downs of their blended family, and a multitude of personal and public obstacles. One of the most significant obstacles in their relationship was the legal troubles that Mendeecees was facing, which included a sentence tied to narcotics trafficking allegations. Yandy's commitment to Mendeecees, on the other hand, remained unwavering, and she made it quite apparent that she would always be there for him, regardless of the circumstances. It was difficult for her to deal with the emotional toll that was brought on by his incarceration. Nonetheless, Yandy always seemed to be the rock of support in the relationship. On the other hand, as time went on, particularly when Mendeecees was freed from prison, the fissures in their relationship started to become more noticeable. Despite the fact that many people had hoped for a new beginning, new issues surfaced, the most notable of which were his interactions with his ex-girlfriend, Erica Dixon, who was also the mother of his kid. Considering that Erica and Mendeecees had a relationship that was widely documented and fraught with difficulties, many people were left wondering if their history would come back to haunt them once more. The comeback of Erica in the world of film. Both Mendeecees and Yandy experienced a range of feelings as a result of Erica Dixon's comeback in Mendeecees' life. As someone who has invested a significant amount of time and energy into constructing a life with Mendeecees, it was never going to be easy for her to see his ex-girlfriend back in the picture. Mendeecees' former relationship with Erica, which includes the birth of their son, is a chapter in Mendeecees' life that Yandy could never completely remove from the picture. Erica's history with Mendeecees is full of drama and tension that has not been addressed. In the beginning, Yandy made an effort to maintain her composure and understanding, while also acknowledging that Erica will continue to be a part of their lives because of their kid. However, things immediately became more serious when Erica started exhibiting signals that she was beginning to rekindle her friendship with Mendeecees. Co-parenting was no longer the only issue at hand, rather, trust and emotional boundaries were the center of attention. The fact that Yandy witnessed her husband rekindling his relationship with Erica prompted her to experience feelings of uneasiness, jealousy, and mistrust. Especially in the presence of the public, she found it challenging to negotiate the emotional experience that she had just been through. The reappearance of Erica brought to light a number of unaddressed difficulties that existed within Mendeecees and Yandy's marriage. It became clear that Mendeecees' connections with Erica went beyond mere courteous engagement, despite the fact that he may have been attempting to play the role of a helpful co-parent. Because of this, Yandy began to wonder about the extent of their connection, and whether Mendeecees had really committed to their marriage, or whether he was allowing previous feelings to come back to the surface inside their relationship. The point of breakdown: Yandy's destruction of emotional control. Yandy's breaking point occurred during an emotionally heated discussion with Mendeecees, which left her visibly distressed and broke down. This confrontation was the tipping point for their relationship. She had been carrying the burden of their relationship issues for a considerable amount of time, even as she attempted to keep up a front of strength, while also struggling with thoughts of betrayal on the inside. The collapse that Yandy experienced was not only a result of Mendeecees' connection with Erica, but also of a more general feeling of emotional weariness that had been building up over the course of its existence. During the heated discussion, Yandy was unable to contain her feelings any longer and finally spoke them. When she expressed how hurt she was by Mendeecees' conduct, her voice shook as she gave her statement. She got the impression that all of the sacrifices she had made for their family were being neglected, and the guy with whom she had fought so hard to construct a future appeared to be distant and disconnected from her. The outpouring of frustration, anxiety, and sadness that followed Yandy's collapse was devastating. Despite the fact that she had devoted her entire being to their marriage, she suddenly had the impression that Mendeecees was moving away from her. The prospect of losing him to his past, to Erica, was so overwhelming that she could not endure it. The tears that she shed were not only about the lady who had returned into his life, rather, they were about the more profound and agonizing understanding that the cornerstone of their relationship had been disturbed. When Yandy was confronted with the realization that her unflinching loyalty and support had not been sufficient to protect their marriage from the strains of the past, she was forced to face the idea. Insecurities and feelings of vulnerability that she experienced were genuine and unfiltered, and the emotional breakdown that she had was a time of clarity for her. When Yandy experienced this breakdown, it was a defining moment in her path. It was not simply a response to a particular occurrence, rather it was an eye-opening experience on the realities of her marriage. At that very time, Yandy was forced to confront the reality that she was unable to exert control over every facet of her relationship, and she was unable to shield herself from the anguish that accompanied the experience of loving someone to such a profound degree. Yandy's own need for recognition, respect, and emotional security in her marriage was at the center of this situation. It was not simply about Mendeecees and Erica. The function of public prosecution in the relationship between them. Being a contestant on a reality program comes with its own special set of challenges and demands. The public has a front-row seat to the personal hardships that Yandy and Mendeecees go through, and everything that they go through is under the microscope. In a circumstance that was already challenging for Yandy, the persistent scrutiny added an additional element of complication to the scenario. She was not only required to negotiate the emotional upheaval that was occurring within her marriage, but she was also required to do so in the public view. The emotional response that Yandy was experiencing was heightened in many ways by this public exposure. In the midst of her suffering, Yandy had a more difficult time finding serenity because of the criticism she received from her followers, the opinions of those who used social media, and the continual reminders of the mistakes they caused in the past. It is one thing to cope with relationship issues in secret. It is an entirely different thing to have every disagreement, every tear, and every moment of weakness aired for the entire world to witness. At the same time that she was coping with a personal emotional crisis, Yandy was under an unbelievable amount of strain because she was a public figure who was expected to keep her composure. She felt the weight of duty in many various aspects of her life, including being a mother, a wife, and an entrepreneur among other things. Her breakdown was the culmination of everything that she had been suppressing for such a long time. It was a moment in which she could no longer pretend that everything was functioning normally, despite the fact that cameras were rolling. How will Yandy and Mendeecees proceed moving forward? What are their future plans? Both Mendeecees and Yandy found themselves in a situation of introspection as a result of the aftermath of Yandy's emotional collapse. Their problems were pushed to the surface as a result of the confrontation, yet it also presented an opportunity for personal development and comprehension. Mendeecees was compelled to take a serious look at his activities and how they affected his wife once he witnessed the extent of Yandy's suffering. On the other hand, it was up to Yandy to determine what her subsequent actions would ultimately be. If she felt emotionally ignored in her marriage, would she be able to continue to stay in that marriage? Her willingness to forgive Mendeecees for his previous errors, especially his relationship with Erica, was a question that she posed. On the other hand, would this occurrence serve as the impetus for her to reassess her relationship with Mendeecees and to review what she genuinely desired for their future together? The emotional collapse that Yandy experienced was not the conclusion of the story, rather it was the beginning of a new chapter in the narrative. It opened her eyes to the fact that she deserved more than simply the position of a devoted wife, and acted as a wake-up call for her to put her own emotional well-being at the forefront of her priorities. Furthermore, she required a sense of being loved, respected, and cherished in return. It is possible that Mendeecees' relationship with Erica may continue to be a source of friction. Nevertheless, the most important factor in determining whether or not he will be able to move forward with his marriage to Yandy is whether or not he is prepared to be open, understanding, and supportive of her emotional needs. The path to healing and reconciliation will not be an easy one, but it is not impossible if both parties are willing to put in the effort to work through their problems. Final thoughts. In the aftermath of Mendeecees' return to Erica's life, Yandy experienced a moment of vulnerability and clarity that led to her breakdown. The emotional toll that a complicated relationship can take on an individual was brought to light by this, particularly when the connection incorporates concerns from the past that have not been resolved until now. When it came to Yandy, it was not just about her relationship with Mendeecees and Erica, rather, it was about her own desire for emotional security and respect. It is yet unknown whether Yandy and Mendeecees will be able to find a way to restore their relationship and go on with their lives as they continue to deal with the difficulties of marriage, motherhood, and the scrutiny of the public. The fact remains, however, that Yandy's emotional collapse was a defining moment that compelled both her and Mendeecees to tackle their problems head-on. This is something that is abundantly evident. The manner in which they choose to react over the next few months will determine whether or not their relationship is able to endure this most recent obstacle, or whether or not it will be the beginning of the end of their journey together.